this online like 3 times. Maybe point the camera like towards this, so like maybe point the live stream towards this, so people can follow. I don't know if that's gonna be too difficult to do.
You're technically not allowed to ask you about medical situations, but you just need to show them enough. So I actually have asthma. I have like 20 of these things that are empty. I can sell you an old asthma inhaler, and you can just keep it in your pocket. When anyone's like, just be like, pre-existing condition.
I didn't know.
That's what actually no one calls me.
Just gonna argue that.
Exactly. They're not going to ask.
I got it for like $100.
Opening remarks. All right, good morning. So, Colin texted me about 8 days ago and says, I'm coming to Philly, can you do a meetup? And typically it would just be, okay, get a meetup. But there's like that stuff going on, and you can't just go roll into a Starbucks or a pizza shop or a bar. You can't do that anymore. So it was like, okay, well, we have to go find a fucking venue. So I came to this place, and it was for Saturday, and it got shut down, and I was out on the street. So I spent all goddamn day, the next day, getting kicked out of place after place after place after place. The one place said, yeah, come do panel discussions. I uploaded the pictures to that group chat, and then they were like, oh, you're going to have a comedian? Well, that's entertainment, so no, fuck you. So again, totally fucked. So, God damn it. You wait outside. So anyway, yeah, so we had to get this thing together last minute, and it was very difficult, and it was get the venue, it was invite people, how many can come, who expects to be invited, and I realized like it's an impossibility to do this without having to piss some people off. So there were people that I just couldn't invite. And oh well. Let's see, what other little hiccups and road bumps were there along the way? Food, apparently it's illegal to eat nowadays, especially indoors. But I don't want to dwell on these topics. We're here to talk about blockchain and crypto and problem solving and exchanging ideas. So, we're going to be starting off with some local Philadelphia talent. And Ryan presented up at Blockchain Week, virtual Blockchain Week, because live events are illegal until today. So Ryan, please.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Nate, for inviting me. So my name is Ryan Rodden. I'm the founder of a website called Castle Crypto. Oh, shit. Wow, you almost pulled it off. Sorry. Damn, good call. Thanks, guys. All right, can everyone see that? So I've been a gamer my whole life. Counter-Strike, World of Warcraft. Anyone in here a gamer? World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike, Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone. All right. You guys are going to really like this, I think. If you don't understand Bitcoin, this is going to make absolutely no sense. But this blockchain games explained is meant to be kind of like an explain like I'm 5. So it's supposed to be really simple. So all right, we'll jump right into it. So first of all, what is a blockchain? Well, it's basically just a huge database that stores information. The only difference is that it allows for a few important factors. It's uncensorable and immutable, so the data can't be changed. Ideally, no single person or entity owns the blockchain. It exists for all to see or use, and it's decentralized. So, for example, in Bitcoin, John might own 3 Bitcoin, and he always will unless he spends it or he sends it to somebody. And there's provable scarcity, so there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, right? But in the gaming world, this might be, there only ever will be 50 golden swords, all right? So if you have an inventory, and you guys know World of Warcraft and stuff like that, you have stuff in your inventory. So as an example, you have blockchain stuff, right? And people say, let's check the blockchain for a record, and they find that person A sent a transaction to person B. So who owns what? Well, in Bitcoin, John owns 2 Bitcoin in his Bitcoin wallet. But in gaming, John might own 1 sword and 2 shields in his Ethereum address. Okay, so that's kind of the difference here. Gaming items are typically tracked on Ethereum or a blockchain with similar functionality. When you're tracking transactions, it's pretty similar as well. So in Bitcoin, John sent 2 Bitcoin to Sally, but in gaming, it's John sent 2 swords to Bob. So who here is familiar with NFTs or that kind of thing, right? So an NFT, a non-fungible token, is something you can send to somebody else. It's your choice to do that. They're minted on the blockchain. In a traditional game like Counter-Strike or World of Warcraft, you buy the game, you play the game, and you grind and you find and discover items, weapons, and gear. And you use or equip those items while playing the game, right? Pretty obvious. But when you turn off the game or stop playing altogether, you no longer use those items and weapons you found, right? They become essentially meaningless outside of that specific game. So if you grind a dungeon in World of Warcraft or something and you kill a dragon and you find some epic sword, it only matters in World of Warcraft, right? Once you go play Counter-Strike or something else, it doesn't matter. But let's look at the same example, but from a blockchain game perspective. So you buy the game, you play the game, you find and discover weapons, items, and gear, so pretty much the exact same thing. You use or equip those items while you're playing, but the key point to understand is that the item itself exists outside of the game, okay? It's on the blockchain. So when you turn off the game or stop playing one of these blockchain games, that item still is usable in other games. Okay, you can also sell that asset on an external market, or even in some cases, you can actually convert it into a cryptocurrency. So imagine if you're playing World of Warcraft, you're grinding dungeons, and you find something, and you don't want it. You could actually melt it down into a cryptocurrency and then go buy a pizza. So now you're gaming, and if you've heard the phrase play to earn, it's because you're spending all this time grinding through this stuff, but you can actually, the items that you get actually have meaning and possibly are even attributed with a cryptocurrency. So in some traditional game examples, I don't know if you guys can see this, it's kind of fuzzy, but here we have Diablo, which is a dungeon crawler. We have Counter-Strike, which is a first-person shooter. World of Warcraft, which is an MMO. And then Hearthstone, which is a card game. I'm wearing a Splinterlands shirt. Matt from Splinterlands is here. He's going to talk about a blockchain card game that's a lot of fun and really cool. So we'll get into that in a second. So when you play these games, the items are only usable in their respective games. So a sword from World of Warcraft cannot be used in Diablo, right? You have to play Diablo to use the Diablo items. And some people might refer to this as the Diablo gaming universe. In dungeon crawlers, like Diablo, you might find swords and armor. First-person shooters, you have guns, skins, and grenades. If anyone plays Counter-Strike or Fortnite and all this stuff, you know how people freak out and go nuts over skins. And they pay tons of money for this stuff. But they're only usable in Counter-Strike. In World of Warcraft, you have swords, armor, mounts, and in a card game, you have common cards, rare cards, epic cards, things that have scarcity. So the blockchain allows you to create these items and store the info. And when you do that, you're basically submitting certain things, such as an item name, the picture, what it looks like. So here we just have like an example sword. You define how many of the item actually exists. So like there's 5 or 10 of them. In Bitcoin, there's 21 million, but there might only be 500 golden swords. And then whoever creates it decides who owns it at first or how it's going to be used. So if I'm the game creator, then I'm the one who might start off with 50 swords. So if we go back to that first early example, again, this is like an explain like I'm 5. Blockchain stuff, and on the blockchain are 50 golden swords, and the game creator says, all right, let's create 50 swords, and the guy says, all right, I'm going to send it to the blockchain. Then you have Gamer John 1337, who has one of those. Okay, so he owns 1 golden sword because he won it in a giveaway competition. All right, so it's stored on his personal Ethereum address. So now John owns this golden sword, but he might not actually even use it in any games yet. He might just have it, okay? And we'll get to that in a second, why that's important. So what we're explaining here is that items are officially and provably owned by a player, irrespective of a game, due to the blockchain. So one more time, we're just going to review this. Diablo, there's swords. Counter-Strike, guns and skins. World of Warcraft, there's swords and things like that, and then cards. So in a blockchain situation, it might look like this. You have this overarching blockchain data, all right, of which John, who is the gamer, owns a golden sword, and there's only 50. Now, what these traditional games or game styles might do is check the blockchain to see what he owns and then apply it to their game. So you have a dungeon crawler, first-person shooter, an MMO, and then you have card games. And it might look like this. So that golden sword, when John logs into this dungeon crawler, he can use that sword, and he uses it to like slay dragons. If he goes into Counter-Strike or like some first-person shooter, that golden sword might have a different purpose or appearance. It appears as an emblem on his skin, right? But there's only 50 people that could have that emblem. In a blockchain MMO, which is like World of Warcraft, it might be the same. It might be a sword to use. But in a trading card game, it might be a special card that's a golden sword that he can use, right? So now he's got this thing that all the other gaming nerds want, because there's only 50 of them, and only he can use, you know, certain aspects. All right. So again, just a quick review is the game creator is basically deciding which items exist and whose inventory they belong to. And it can be in the form of all of those things we just described, skins, weapons, and things like that. What's cool about this is that you can own a lot of these things before the game is even playable, which opens up a huge amount of marketing opportunity. All right, imagine there's this hugely hyped game coming, and you're saying, all right, guys, we're going to give away, 50 swords that are only going to exist right now if you get in. And if you don't get in now, you're not going to get it, and you never will unless somebody else gives you one, right? So now other games are going to look at this and say, okay, there's only 50 of these, so if we want to bring these players into our game, we're going to have to, potentially incorporate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a real-world example of this from a project called Engine. Anybody in here familiar with Engine or Engine Coin? So I'm not here to promote Engine. I'm just using them as an example because it's really awesome and it's fun to follow. So Engine created this axe right here before any games were even made. They just made this as a blockchain item that somebody can own, that thing right there. And it's just stored on an Ethereum address. Engine has a wallet. It's a really good wallet. It allows you to store crypto, but it also allows you to store NFTs. And when you log in and you have this axe, you can actually see it in like a cool display. So this is like your real-world Ready Player One type inventory. All right, so you pull it out of your phone and you're showing all your friends, and you're like, hey, dude, I have this axe, and you don't. Now what happened was there was a game called Forgotten Artifacts. It's now called Lost Relics. The guy decided to change the name. But Forgotten Artifacts implemented blockchain technology. And what they did was they said, all right, if you have this in your possession, this NFT, when you play our game, you can have it. It'll be in your inventory when you log in. So here's that thing right here in the game. And a lot of people had that axe before they even knew this game existed, which is really cool. Yeah, go ahead. So that's a great question. There are some games that are going to have like permanent death. But in this particular game, because it's on the blockchain, the game can't destroy the item or do anything or remove it from your possession. As long as you play this game, you'll always have it for the most part. The point is that this is a scarce thing that only few people have, and then here's a player using it, and then he might go to a different game and have that same axe in like Minecraft, because Minecraft players actually are also, there's a Minecraft implementation for this whole concept right here. The Minecraft wooden sword is actually usable in this game. So if you log in and you have a Minecraft wooden sword, you can use it in this game. And here's a picture of that. So Engine knows that Minecraft's a huge game. They know the wooden sword is like a classic item in Minecraft. And when you come to Forgotten Artifacts and you have one of these blockchain versions of it, you can use it in the game. Okay, so imagine World of Warcraft where you already have stuff and it's like valuable things that people might actually want in the future. The other really cool thing about this is that there's a traceable history on a weapon. So imagine if a Twitch streamer with 1 million followers, he's streaming to, PewDiePie is streaming to like 100,000 people, and he's playing a game and he kills this dragon, right, at the end of the game. And then he turns to the stream and he says, all right, who wants this sword? It's now provable that it was PewDiePie's sword because you can track the progress on the blockchain, right? So he literally could turn around on the stream and send it to somebody, and now that person owns PewDiePie's sword. All right, and it's a thing that people want, has history. So the conclusion is that blockchain, and this is super early, super early, is people are innovating true ownership of game items. So, you know, I grinded probably tons of hours of my life when I was younger on World of Warcraft, and they deleted my account, right? Because I didn't play for like 5 years. But all that stuff that I built up over time, what if I could go back to that and be like, oh yeah, I had one of those rare things that all you nerds want now, and I can sell it for like $1,000. So that's what blockchain is trying to solve in a way. Again, it's super early. The other really cool thing about this is, who's seen Ready Player One? Anyone seen Ready Player One? So Engine, this company, again, I'm just using that as an example. They are building a Ready Player One type experience where the purpose of the experience is to literally do quests in different games to win the contest. So you're going to go into one game, do the quest, find an item, leave, go into another game, maybe as the same character, and play a whole different experience looking for something to try to win the ultimate prize. All right, so that's it. That's the talk. Up next is going to be Matt, who's going to talk about Splinterlands, which is one of these card games. Anybody have any quick questions before before I roll? Yeah. I mean, technically, if you could pay for like a scarce blockchain item if it's more powerful, and then you wanted to commit, let's say it costs like 3 Ethereum, and you were willing to pay that, you could get a head start on people just because it's like a more powerful sword or axe or something. But I don't think there's going to be a situation where you pay, I mean, there might, well, maybe there will be, like cryptocurrency at the start to like get ahead, but I think there's always going to be a pay-to-win aspect to like improve your character. But in this case, it's actually like an item that's not going to go away. Like my World of Warcraft account got deleted, right? And actually Vitalik Buterin, I think, back in the day, he was a warlock in World of Warcraft, and they changed some of his skills, and he got really pissed about that. And apparently that led him to start thinking about Ethereum, because he's like, nobody should have the ability to just remove my warlock abilities. Yeah, yeah. So like, Ethereum, yeah. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. So gaming is huge. It's I think it's like a $20 billion industry. It's going to probably be like $100 billion in 5 years, even with lockdown and all that. But yeah, of course. I mean, that's why. I mean, it's so early right now. I'm definitely not going to say that this is going to be the way it works. Who knows? I mean, ETH2 could come around and help out. It could totally bomb it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the time sync, yeah. Yeah, ETH3, which will be out in 2045. Anyway, it's more about, it's a great question, but it's more about the innovation and like the way that we're thinking about this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a, yeah. Yeah. I mean, some games like Splinterlands, I mean, Matt can talk more about this, but it uses the Hive blockchain. It used to use Steam, so like people do use other blockchains for this kind of stuff. There's Wax blockchain, so there's other options, you know. But yeah, so we'll see. Get those early swords. Could be your savings account later. This is a really great game, Splinterlands, so pay attention.
I'll go without a computer or anything, so we could just start real quick. So my name is Matt Rosen. I live just outside of Philadelphia, born and raised in Philly. I'm gonna talk about Splinterlands quick for like 5 or 10 minutes, and if Nate, wherever he is okay with that. I also want to talk about the whole Steam Hive controversy from earlier this year. If those of you who don't know about it, this is like one of these things where you want to pay attention, because you're going to be like, holy shit, I don't believe this. Like, I don't know how many talks you've been to where you had that reaction, but this is like one of those things where real life is crazier than fiction. So I want to talk about Splinterlands quick, obviously, and then, oh, cool, thank you, Ryan, for pulling that up. So I was a big Magic the Gathering player when I was young, and I'm also a big card collector. I have more money worth of Magic the Gathering cards in my house than I would like to admit. And I feel like that was such a damn cool thing about Magic the Gathering, right? That I don't play the game anymore. I don't have time for that, but you know, There are people whose businesses are around buying and selling Magic the Gathering cards and all that. In fact, Mt. Gox, which many of you might be familiar with, stands for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. That's what it was. And then obviously I got into computer games. I played Hearthstone. I mean, I played everything from World of Warcraft to EverQuest. And anyway, so it's similar to Magic the Gathering in that I spent money, I got this stuff, I played the game, but I don't play those games anymore, and now I have nothing. So it's sort of a good answer to your question about pay to win, right? You could say Magic the Gathering's pay to win, right? You gotta buy the cards. I mean, if you have all the cards and you're playing against someone who doesn't, you're much more likely to win. Not guaranteed, but much more likely. But the cool thing is if you buy a bunch of cards in Hearthstone, it's entertainment. It's like going to the movies. That money's gone, right? But you plop $1,000 down on Magic the Gathering back in '95 or whatever. It's an investment. So it's like an invest to win. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what blockchain gaming aims to bring back. So they might be pay to win in a certain aspect, but that money's not gone. It's also an investment. It's collectibles. You're getting these things that Ryan said, can be used in other games or whatever. So getting into Splinterlands in 2017, when I kind of learned about Ethereum and all this stuff that you could do beyond Bitcoin and monetary transactions, I was like, well, you got to do a trading card game, blockchain based. And I looked at what was going on, and a lot of the games, even now, like Ryan said, the assets in the game, the cards, the swords, whatever, they're on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's decentralized. The game creator can't take that away, but everything else in the game is just a regular centralized game, right? Gods Unchained is an example, competitor of ours. They're kind of a big Ethereum-based card game. So all their cards are on Ethereum. They're in your wallet. But the game itself is just an executable you download, and it has absolutely no blockchain integration at all, except it just checks your linked Ethereum wallet to see what cards you have. And so there was an interesting, earlier, I guess it was last year, there was a Hearthstone player, big tournament winner, that came out and said some stuff about Hong Kong that the company Blizzard didn't agree with. And they blocked him from tournaments and things like that. And the blockchain gaming space was up in arms, and the regular gaming space. And games like Gods Unchained came out and was like, well, you should come to our game because all the assets are on a blockchain. We can't, just because we disagree with you, take that away. And that part's true. They can't take away the assets, but they could easily say, we won't let you use those in our game, right? They could easily not let someone enter tournaments or do literally whatever they want. Because they control the game and just not the assets. So what I wanted to do with Splinterlands is make literally every single thing that happens in the game be on the blockchain. So it's not just that the cards are data stored on the blockchain under your keys, but like if you play a battle against someone, you submit a transaction to the blockchain that says, I'm looking for a battle. And someone else does, and there's code that matches you up. When you pick your cards that you're going to use in a battle, same thing. You submit the transaction to the blockchain. So literally every single thing that happens in the game is immutably on the blockchain, can't be falsified under your keys. So it makes the entire game, not just the assets, work this way in a more decentralized fashion. So especially in the end of 2017 and early 2018, like that's not really doable on Ethereum.